Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order. First thing, public speaking.
Were you able to get to any of your information requests that you have pending?
No,
Are you waiting on the lawyer to get back to you, or
I'm sorry.
are you waiting on your lawyer to get back to you, or?
For what information?
Well, I had some information I requested, and
The VIN number and the.
Yes, ma'am.
And I have that information and I'll give it to you at the
Okay.
end of the meeting.
all right, that's all I had.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I do. 586 days, this young road's been closed. Sorry I didn't make that last meeting. I understand Jeff Maiden was here, and I was fortunate enough to get his correspondence. You know, I go back over all the documentation, all the things that were said. Nothing coincides as far as dates are concerned or about who said what. But I'm glad things are moving toward some kind of solution to the problem out there. I have some questions, though, about what is in Maiden's proposal. And if you bear with me, and maybe you could answer them, because he gave this to you on the 6th of December, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure you all read it real closely. Now, he said this is the second proposal. This is the second cost estimation that he submitted to the state. Do you have a copy of the first?
Yeah, in my file cabinet. The first one, well, I give you a copy of the first one.
You're talking about the one that you all did? You're talking about the one that you all submitted, not the one that he submitted.
He worked with us, that was his estimate, the first one. But
The
reason-
$438,100.
Yeah, the reason why it's the second one, we looked at it, we're gonna try to shorten that wall
Yeah.
instead of having as long as he had it before. We're gonna shorten the wall. We think we can fix the lower end of it without building that wall clear
Okay, well,
down.
you're talking about $6,000 less, because his new one's $432,000
Yeah.
versus $438,000. So it's not any significance there. I just wondered if there was another one out there that was more than the 438.
No.
Okay, well,
The reason he done that is to try get the cost down, so possibly we can get the money quicker.
you think $6,000 is gonna make a difference? I'm just curious.
I don't know.
That's a drop in the bucket,
That's
related to
true.
what you're saying it's gonna cost. The other questions I have is, he makes a statement that, there was qualified state disaster money available back in 2020, back in the summer of 2020. We all didn't, the township didn't apply for that. So
We
I
didn't know about it.
You didn't know about
Well, see, Don Gossel, he's the EMS? Never notified any of the townships about it. So we didn't know. Meaden didn't even know. So he found out after he talked to Don Gossel. See, Don's supposed to when there's a disaster thing in the county, it's his job to let the townships in the county know.
it. Did you fire him?
I don't have the right to fire him.
Well, did you make any noise about it? I'm
Yeah.
just curious, because we're talking about a significant amount of money that came down from the state of Ohio that was available, that no one knew about.
We did not know about
I
it.
find it hard to believe that no one knew about it.
I'm sure somebody knew about it, but they didn't pass it down to the township trustees. And I talked to some of the other ones in some other townships, and they didn't know about it either. So.
Well, we're now, another year and a half from last summer.
I mean, we gotta know about this stuff, and it's his job.
Well,
You're
I've been
notified.
sitting here since May or June of last year. And it seems like you know, I was urging you all in many different ways to inquire about the funding, you know, and no one seemed to move until now. And I don't know if this is,
Well, to be honest-
I don't know if this is a CYA issue here, or if, there's really some positive movement, toward resolving the issue.
See, when the other lady quit that had Don's job,
I don't know who that was.
I can't remember her name, but she went somewhere else. And we didn't even know they even appointed another EMA guy. I mean, they're supposed to notify us when there's an office change up there. That's the higher government above us. If they don't notify us down here, we don't know nothing. Of course, I don't know much anyway, but
Well, as I read through this letter, he's talking about, he's willing to transfer money that he has for a slip that is not necessary, or he's willing to use on this slip. Has he, affirmed that?
he is trying through Ohio Public Works. He has a slip that he thinks he can get by with, that he is gonna turn the money back in on that slip to help us out.
Has that
If they
happened?
will let him do it. He don't know if they'll let him do
Well,
it.
this was, and this letter was to Laura Adcock, whoever she is,
Yeah, that's FEMA.
on December sixth. Has there been any
That's
response to
So,
his request?
Ohio Public Works.
no, FEMA. Donna Adcock, FEMA, right?
It says DPS.gov,
Well, anyway,
DPS.
no, that's Laura FEMA. Donna's Ohio Public Works. So anyway,
She's not there anymore.
he, she's not there anymore either, cause she retired. He's trying to turn that money back in if they will transfer it to us.
Do you know how much it is?
Pardon?
Do you know how much money that is in stock?
100 and some thousand, I don't know exactly what the number was.
About a quarter of what's necessary?
Yeah. Then he's trying through the other agencies to
Which
get
are-
the money to match to come up with the rest of it. I mean,
What other agencies would that be?
Well, FEMA, and there's and that's one Don's working on, Don Goss is working on the same thing. And he's trying to get some COVID money to help us, but I don't know where that's gonna work.
Well, you know, the federal government, I don't know exactly what the process will be getting down to the township level, but the federal government just passed a huge infrastructure bill, and there's a lot of money for roads, bridges, et cetera. Has there been any inquiry at the county, state level to see how that money's gonna come down, and what the process is in getting it?
Jeff said he'd let me know if it comes down, if we can get in it. We also put in for, well, this is on another road, but the $250,000 through, ODOT. We put in for that.
For,
We're gonna use it on the stone road out there, so we can't use it on a slip, but we can use it to,
What-
concrete stabilize the, Hall Road out there where a stone quarry is. But the stipulations is we can't use it on a road slip. So, we're working on grants and whatever we can find. I mean, right now, you can't, like Megan said, you just can't hardly get any money right now.
it seems like there's a lot. It seems like the American Rescue Act that was passed earlier this year, and now the infrastructure bill, which is huge as far as roads and bridges and broadband and everything else. It seems like, it's available, it's going to be available, if not today, tomorrow.
But how much money, let me ask you a question, how much money do you think really is gonna go to fixing the roads? Because every time you do a job anymore, you gotta have an engineer involved, which is thousands of dollars. You gotta have an architect, and you gotta have a designer. The time all these people get done designing and all that stuff, you ain't going, part of that, half of that's gonna go just to those people.
Well, it stimulates the economy, I guess. I don't know. Keeps people employed. I don't know, but we can't just say because it's, money's hard to get, or it's not gonna, it's gonna be a while getting it down or whatever. We can't stop all this project. We've been dragging our feet for 585, 86 days.
Well, you can say we're dragging our feet, but I'm saying we're trying to get the money.
Well, I've been to every meeting, darn near every meeting since last summer, when this slip occurred. And I haven't heard any real positive, comments about the progress.
We haven't
All I've
had
heard is
any,
we can't do it.
if we knew, we would tell you, but we don't know either. We don't know where we're gonna get any money or not. And if we did, we'd tell you. I mean,
Well, you ought to ask, I guess, you ought to be working on it. That's all I say, you ought to work on it, there are resources out there. Maiden being one of them,
what?
Jeff Maiden being one of the resources.
He is working with us on all this. If you read that whole letter, this is from him,
Well,
where he's
this
been
letter
working with
is
us.
dated, I know, this letter is dated December 6th of this year.
He's been working with us through the whole process. Since he went over the first time and looked at that slip, he has been trying to get us money. Seriously.
Well, when I met with him, he didn't indicate that was the case.
Well, I can tell you he's helped out a bunch of them.
Well, I hope he has.
I know he has.
That's his role, but when I met with him back in September, it didn't seem like he had done much at all. He didn't know much about it.
He knew.
Okay. Well, that's all I have to say. I just hope things keep moving forward.
I'm hoping that somewhere in the next month or so, we hear something positive.
Next month or so, really?
Well, yeah, I mean, I can't guarantee we're gonna hear anything, but I'm really anxious to get started. Cause I wanna get it open, make it easier for us to snowplow it and take care of it.
I hope so too. Make it easier for me to get out. Everyone else lives on that road.
Well, it also make it easier for the fire department, cause, they gotta crew around now.
I
if
know,
fire,
believe me,
go
Bob,
down.
I'm worried about that. I'm worried about EMS, I'm worried about fire department. It's not just a quicker route to parking.
And we're worried about it too, seriously.
Okay, well, thank you.
Anybody else?
Varner and Blackwood, or Kincaid Road, what are you gonna do with it?
What do you mean, what we're gonna do with it? We're gonna,
Well, it just keeps getting muddier and muddier and muddier.
we're just gonna have to keep putting stone on it and stone on it and stone on it. We were gonna chip and seal, but we ran out of time and closed the plant before we got the tar. And he run out of stuff to fix the road with, so we couldn't continue.
They didn't chip and seal any of the roads.
But we're just having to keep putting stone on it. I know Matt put some on this wall, all around there. But that's all we did.
Yeah, but it ain't going very far. You know, you run, 15 or 20, 80,000 trucks through there, and it disappears. They put a load in there yesterday, and them trucks just smashed it up. It ain't nothing.
What do you want us to do?
I'd like to have something where I ain't driving in the damn mud like I did for years and years and years. You had a pretty good road.
What do you want us to do?
I'd fix it, Bob.
With what?
Shut it down.
Shut
Shut
the
it
road.
down. Did Inlow or what you call it, did he sign a paper when he told you guys how the road would be fixed within 72 hours?
That road usage agreement.
And he signed a paper saying that the roads would be fixed the way they was within 72 hours, right?
Right,
It ain't been done.
he's worked on it.
I
We've
don't-
worked on it.
Why don't you shut the damn road down when them running them trucks in there? If they won't fix it the way it was, you guys supposedly took pictures of it and seen what the road was like.
We can't close that road down.
Why?
If we close it down, we gotta close it down to all traffic.
No. You close it down, that gravel pit hauling, and you'll be done with it. Fix the road up some, and you'll be done.
You have a legal document with them?
Yes.
Well, why don't you get on the phone with your fancy lawyer and get him to enforce that document? if
He
it's
has
as bad
been
as he
working
says it
with-
is.
He has been working, he's been giving us all the stone that we have been putting on that road. We can pay nothing for it. So he is doing his best to help us, but the weather is, it's not cooperating there very good either.
Bob, it was like that when it was 90 degrees and the dust was rolling.
Well, we're,
You ditched that road out through there on both sides, and the ditch is this deep, and it looked like it did when Dave Cohen done it 15 or 20 years ago. And they've done, trucks has been in it, they've all been in it, and smashed it shut already.
so you want us to close the road?
I didn't say
Okay,
close
if
the
I
road.
close the road, I'm gonna close it down to all
I
traffic.
said, close the road to them lineman trucks.
We can't do that,
Why can't you?
because it's a public road. If we close the road, we gotta close it to everybody.
Hey, Bob,
No,
don't they put weight limits on these roads?
Huh?
Aren't there weight limits on the roads during a certain period of time?
No.
I see it on county roads.
Right.
Well,
To a freeze thaw period.
I don't know what the process is or why they do it, but I know that
It's
from sometime around November to late spring, those roads have a weight limit on it. Can you not do that? Can you not put a weight limit on it?
I don't know where we can legally not, since that's a business.
you guys, you stood down there and told me that you guys ain't get a dime out of any of that stone that goes out of that place, are you?
No sales tax.
That's what I said. You ain't getting a dime out of it.
No,
So why should you have to keep the road up?
it's a public road. It's a public road. It's just
For,
like,
for 80,000 pound trucks.
it's a public road. We've done been through this. But I can close the road down.
And.
If you want me to close, I'll close it from Blackwood through to the highway, but you ain't gonna be able to travel.
And you told me that the road had to go to Bonds and out that way, right?
That's right.
And they run up by Bob McCoy's all the
I
time.
know that too.
And they run up past Blackwood Road towards Vanderhoof, cause they gravelled it down there where they can make a turn and go up that way.
If they got a delivery, they can use that road.
You're gonna tell me they got that many deliveries up through there?
I don't know what he's got. I don't know.
I think you should be finding out where everything's going. There's dump trucks that runs clear up over the hill all the time.
Up over what hill?
Up over Blackwood Road, over to, County Road.
I know if he has deliveries, we can't stop him. I do know that. That same way it's going down Blackwood Road past your mom's place.
That's what I mean. They run up through there all the
We
time.
can't stop him if he got deliveries, just same as any other truck going down through, the gas truck, any other truck going down through there.
Well, how about when I see them going loaded, I'll just follow them and see where they go. And if they're going to Tupper's Plains or someplace like that, they have no business being on there, do they?
Not if he's going that way.
See, you guys wrote up this thing. I remember this stuff started 2 years ago. You wrote up all these plans and it had to do this and had to do that. And he signed and you say, agreed to all of it. And heck, there ain't been nothing happen like that.
I don't know what to tell you. He's been working with us, we've been working with him, we've been trying to keep that road open the best we can. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna be sarcastic, but if you think you can do a better job, you can have this spot right here, I'm serious. I don't know what else to do.
I would think that you would be getting a hold of whoever wrote up the agreement, Mr. Maiden. And I've called him 2 or 3 times and he won't even return your call.
I think the prosecutor drove that up, didn't he? We all signed it.
I mean, if they're in default of the agreement, why not discuss it with your lawyer?
We can do that.
It sounds like you probably ought to.
But if I close the road, I'll close it to all traffic.
Which which way do you go out? Back up over the hill and out to Lockridge Road?
Pardon?
Which way would you go out if you're gonna close the road?
You won't be able to reach that road. You won't be able to go anywhere.
So you won't be able to go up over the hill?
Past your mom, it'll be the only way you go.
That's almost as good as driving through the mud.
We'll talk to Matt. But thing was, we gonna chip and seal it. But, like I say, the bank closed before we get started.
Chip and seal, I don't figure will last a week.
To keep the dust down, help keep some of the mud down. Okay. Anybody else? If not, we want to do, motion to pay the bills. Is the money sufficient?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Because this is the end of the year, at this particular meeting, we try to pay all the bills that are outstanding. So, because at the end of December, this particular year is closed, and then we have to do a new year for next year. And I have all the paperwork for that, that we can go over and do business. So that's why there's quite a few bills. There is probably still a few outstanding. Those will come in the mail, and as soon as I get them, we have an amount that we carry over for each account, and then we can pay those bills when they come in after the first of the year. We had fire safety services. This was for, excuse me, this was for, well, I'm sorry. Fire safety was $367.50. It was for the aluminum hydrant gate, the smoke chaser vinyl tank, and then we also had another one for $1,185.66. These were for, for November, and the total on it was $1,553.16. This was for the fire department. Your loan was due on the bank. Oh my gosh, the loan for your building came due. I did not receive the coupons, but I did go to the bank on Friday, and they gave me a copy of the coupon for your loan. Your loan was $4,200.76. You had, the principal was $3,840.77. The interest was $359.99. That is for a $40,000 loan. We had K&E Plastics. It was for a 12 by 12 by 20 inch culvert. There was two of them for $160, so the total was $320. Shelly Material, this was for one of the last, I'm sorry, it wasn't for the last. This was for sand, for the grit that you use on the roads when the roads get bad. It was for two loads. It was 28 tons at $13.20. It was $372.90. To have that particular grit hauled, the grit was $155.38 to have it hauled. It was 28 tons at $5.50. And then we also had some stone that was hauled that's out in the yard right now. The total was $58.69. It was 58 tons. It was $5.50 a ton at $322.80. So we had a check for $478.18 to Gruser Trucking for the haul bill. We had Treasurer State of Ohio. It's $150 for the, it's the volunteer firefighters dependent fund that we have to pay into each year for the fire department. It was $150. Buckley Group to do the, not the engineering, but to do the, surveying on, Roadside Park Road. It was $5,500. There's one for the, Jaggers Funeral Home for the gentleman that was indigent. It was $1,000. And then that goes to and paperwork goes to the Kirkshaw prosecuting office, and then they take care of it because he's done them in the past. So he has all the paperwork and all the correct information to mail to them. Randy Moore Petroleum, the total bill was $1,932.39. It was for diesel, dyed, clear, regular gas, 87% octane, and then it was also for, Assuron. And that was $308.20, but the total bill was $1,932.39. Napa Auto Parts, the total was $155.71. They were parts for, there was a wrench, a lamp for the 1 ton, graphite for the grader, and joints. Matt Cochran Trucking, we had stone, again, this was for the week of 11:30 to 2:03, which we didn't receive until the meeting, till after our last meeting. That total bill was $1,096.26, and it was for a variety of stone. It was for number 57, it was for 304, and 24. So the total tonnage was 99.66. And then the other one was for 12/7, the week of 12/7. It was for D-Rock, and it was for $511.06. It was for 46 tons. We had this invoice, for Howell Rescue Systems. It was $3,090. This was for the Kodiak lifting device that was purchased, back, but I just received the bill, so. Baum's Lumber, the total was $151.33. It was for a Honda carburetor, and then we returned one of the carburetors and got the correct one for the little fire truck. Then that plastic culvert, and then we had a galvanized pipe for the red 1 ton. Oh, and a chain, an 18-inch chain for one of the chainsaws. So that total was $151.33. We had a minority bill. It was just for paper towels, for a paper towel holder, and some wall grips. It was $15.76. And they don't send us a bill or a statement. They just, the invoices, once we get them, then we pay them. This was for Twin Oaks Refrigeration at our last meeting. They had installed the, tankless water, tankless heater, and then that total bill was $2,177, and then there was a case of filters for the, furnace, thank you. That total bill was $2,237. Skinner's Firestone was $1,278. It was for a service call, and I checked with you guys on this one at the last meeting, and it was for a service call and for the tires, and it was $1,278. Trash, $24. Slater's Building Supply, or it's also called Hygiene. It was for 1.5 cold roll steel for the Ford 1 ton. It was $67.91. This is for the Marks radios. It's for July to October. That's how far they run behind to do the updates on the Marks. And it's $60 because that's what the radios are in 3-month increments. That's the lease on it. Right now, gas, we have 2 bills for it. One is for the firehouse, and the firehouse was $729.04. And for the township building, it was $5.46.73. We received the price per gallon is $1.99. At our last meeting, I told you guys that we received this, postcard from the, county clerk's office. It was an overdue notice payment. It was for the Turner, litigation, and I sent the information to Kirk. I called the, office, and they said this was the only thing that we owed, and it was $54.62. Fire safety services, it should be the last one, it's $893. It was for a double head hydrant wrench and the aluminum hydrant gate. That total bill was $893. Summers Rubber in Marietta, it was for hydraulic hoses for the boom mower. It was $682.44, because they have to be specially made. Sorry. And then we had the last, asphalt material. This was for part of the chip and seal. Back in November was the last bunch that we received, and it was $2,646.04. That is it for the bills.
Did they tell you why we owed the $54.62?
They said it was just for, it was for legal fees, for, the paperwork fees, the paperwork that has to be submitted and put into place.
But the prosecutor ain't supposed to charge us for legal fees.
That's what Kirk said.
I believe you.
Then these are the paychecks, your guys' paychecks and the guys' paychecks, because this is pay week for them. On this check, they had 16 hours of holiday leave, because Friday was Christmas Eve, they get Christmas Eve off, and because Christmas fell on Saturday, they received holiday pay for Saturday. And they all worked the Friday before, so they worked Thursday. They took Friday off, they worked Thursday, so everyone was eligible for both days of holiday pay. And your paychecks and mine are the same as they were last month.
You didn't give me a raise?
Sorry. That's it for this. Ready to go on.
paper in there wherever, where it grades us over.
Yes.
Reading the minutes?
The minutes were for the regular meeting, December 6th, 2021, Carthage Township Meeting Room at 7 o'clock. In attendance were Bob Hollands, Chris Nutter wasn't in attendance, he was working, Ramsey Holloway, trustee, Gail Buckley, fiscal officer, and then our sheet for attendance. Robert Pullins called the meeting to order with the reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance. Public speaking, Mr. McBride suggested the trustees and the fiscal officer need to read the laws and familiarize ourselves better. He would also like a copy of the VIN number for the seminary truck and the receipts for repairs. He also wants a copy of our bonds for the trustees. He sent a letter, it wasn't received. He also stated that the credit card should be in the township's name. Robert Pullins asked for the bills and a motion to pay the bills if money is sufficient. Ransom seconded the motion to pay the bills. Robert Pullins asked for the bills and a motion to pay the bills if money is sufficient. Ransom seconded the motion to pay the bills, both approved. All bills were paid and payroll was signed and payroll was given to the trustees and the fiscal officer. Jeff Maidens, the county engineer, came to talk about Young Road and other roads in the township and the county. The residents in the meeting stated that they want to know what will be done and what has been done on the roads in the township. The residents want the trustees to be more open and do their job to their best ability. Jeff Maidens answered all questions to his best ability and excused himself for leave. The minutes were read. Ransom made a motion to accept the minutes as read with corrections. Robert seconded, both approved. The correspondence was read and approved. Old business, the white ODOT truck is fixed, the solenoid valve fell off. New business, 2 people are interested in buying the old township building in Watch Ridge. Robert stated that he'll have Kirk Shaw's office look into it for us. Robert made a motion to have the end of the year meeting and the organizational meeting on December the 28th, 2021 at 7 o'clock. Robert made the motion, Ransom seconded, both approved. The fire department had $50 cash and $25 check for parties held at the firehouse. Work continues on Hall Road. Gravel was placed on road surface. Cochran and Elko have paid for the gravel on the road. Ransom stated that Young Road will be repaired as funds become available, and the township is working with the county engineer's office. Ransom made the motion. Robert seconded, both approved. I misspelled engineers. Fire department, Chief Allen stated that a matching grant is available. Robert made a motion to apply for the grant. Ransom seconded, both approved. The grant is for equipment such as an ATV and equipment to go with it. The fire department is looking at a brush 4x4 truck to purchase. Ransom stated that it had 41,000 miles. It's in Iowa and it's about $61,000. Ransom will check with the bank for the payment info. Truck 2560 at the fire department has an air leak and needs to be repaired. Ransom made a motion to send it out for repair. Robert seconded, both approved. There is a new applicant for the fire department. More new business. Robert Pullins made a motion to set aside $17,000 for the purchase of a replacement dump truck. Ransom seconded, both approved. Robert stated that the township is out of grit for the roads, need to have Bruiser Trucking haul 2 loads of sand for the roads this winter. Robert made a motion and Ransom seconded, both approved. Robert made a motion to adjourn, Ransom seconded, both approved.
The truck for 61,000, we canceled that out. We're not gonna buy that truck.
Is there any corrections or additions to the minutes?
Move to accept the minutes as read.
I'll second.
The only thing I did, I misspelled engineer, I put an O, I spelled it ENGONERS, so that was my fault. You wanna sign that, please? Who made the motion? I'm
I
sorry.
did.
All in favor?
Aye.
Correspondence?
Who seconded?
Me.
Sorry, thank you, Chris. There was very little correspondence as far as mainly it was just bills and things of that nature. We received a, Christmas card from, Mrs. Goble, and I laid it on the filing cabinet, anybody that wants to read it. Her husband, Mr. Goble, passed away sometime this year, so he is. She was just updating us, she sends us one every single year. A Christmas card telling us about her grandkids and what they're doing and things like that. We received a check, it's the December excise tax, December 5% road ratio, permissive motor vehicle, local government and local government supplement. That total bill was that total check was $15,386.51. The gasoline tax was $12,256.52. The local government distribution, or the local government and the local government supplement stay the same each month. It was $661.61 and $771.45. The motor vehicle license tax was $468. And then the license tax state levy was $1,228.93.
Did you say our gas tax was?
It was $12,256.52. We received, we had, people's names are Oval and Shirley Nichols were was who the check was written on for $400 for lot number 43 in, Fairview Cemetery. Then we have Jared and Heidi Nichols, and then,
Let me explain that to you.
okay, because did I get it wrong? Because I haven't done the deeds because I needed to ask you about those.
Right. Mr. Nichols bought the whole thing.
Yes, he bought the
But
lot
the
and
deed
had
goes
4
to,
plots.
Gerald and Orville.
Okay,
You have to make out 2 deeds.
2 deeds.
Them's his kids,
Okay,
okay?
thank you. But it was for $400. If you live in the township and you purchase cemetery plots, it's $400. If you live outside of the township and would purchase, they are $200 a piece or $800 for the whole plot. So, those are the ones that we had. Sorry. I received, I talked to Jill Thompson's office about, because we have a trustee that's leaving office and a new one that's coming in. So Jill had sent me information to make sure that I had the oath of office. I also sent all the information to Wendy French, who is a Tarma, and she said that she would get all of the bonds and get all of that information and then get it sent back to me. So I'm waiting on it right now. I don't know if she'll email it or if she will send it through the mail. She didn't state that in the email, and I'll just be honest, I didn't think to ask. I need to, and we can either do this in the correspondence or we can do it in the new business. We have 2 of our levies are due up next year. And the one levy is, excuse me, is our road maintenance, and the other one is our cemetery. The fire is not due, it's continuing through 2023. So, we have to pass, I have to ask for, I'm gonna read this to you, so anyone that has any questions about it, I'm just gonna read it out loud. These are the guidelines from Jill Thompson's office on placing the levy on the ballot. It used to be you had until August to put your information on the ballot for the general election. They want it in by February the 2nd.
This is for the primary.
This is for the primary, because it has to go on the primary. That's what she told me. So, I'm just going by what they told me at the office. And this is what Jill had sent me. She said, you can go on my website. It says, please find below the procedures for placing a levy on the ballot. These procedures have been reviewed by the Board of Elections and hopefully will assist you through this process. These are only guidelines. You are encouraged to bring your resolution to the county auditor's office prior to submitting it to the Board of Elections for final approval. We are here to assist you and hopefully alleviate some commonly made errors. So what we have to do tonight, we have to pass a resolution. A resolution must be passed asking for the county auditor to prepare a certificate of estimated property tax revenue or a certificate of estimated property tax millage rate. The resolution must include all of the following. And she had sent me another sheet with A through I, making sure that we have all of this information. So what we have to do is it has to have the levy, description, and the purpose, the Ohio Revised Code section and letter. If the levy is to be a renewal or replacement or additional millage, the tax year and calendar year of the levy is to begin collection, specify primary or general election, and the amount of millage or dollar that is needed to be generated. So then after that certificate is received from the county auditor, it must be accepted at a public meeting. So we will have to have another meeting in January to make sure that this goes on. Because what it will do, once we do this resolution, then I take that information to Jill's office. She goes through and makes sure that all the information is correct. Then she sends me the certificate back. Then we vote on it, and then I take it back to the voters bureau and give them all the information.
So we have to have two meetings on it, tonight and another meeting.
No, this is for the resolution. All we're doing right now is asking for the certificate of estimated property tax revenue and the estimated property tax millage rate for the chip and seal and for the cemetery. It all has to be, they have to be done separately. What she sent me to, she said this is new, effective March 27th, 2020. They also want to know the purpose of the tax, whether the tax is an additional levy renewal, which is on this one. The section of the revised code, which we have right here, is 50705.01 and 5705.47. That's the revised code numbers. The term of year of the tax or the tax is for a continuing period of time. That the tax is to be levied upon the entire territory of the subdivision or if authorized by revised code. Yes, we're wanting it for the entire township. The tax is to be levied upon the entire territory. Nope, I read that one, sorry. The date of the election at which the question of the tax shall appear on the ballot. The ballot measure shall be submitted to the entire territory of subdivision or if authorized by the revised code. A description of a portion of the territory of the subdivision to which the ballot measure shall be submitted. And all that's saying is it's for the entire town, Carthage Township. The tax year in which the tax will first be levied and the calendar year in which the tax will be first collected. And she sent me a sheet of paper to help break that down, so. And each such county in the subdivision has a territory, which doesn't really apply to us because we're not a subdivision, so. What this is, the road maintenance is the last one was renewal. It was voted on November the 8th, 2016. It was from 2017 to 2021, continuing through 22. The cemetery is the same way. That information is the same, so. Like I said, I know it was a lot of information, but it has to be done. So all the information has to go through and be within theirs.
Well, you need the resolution.
So what we have to do is pass a resolution, must be passed asking for the county auditor to prepare, and that's all we're doing, is asking for them to prepare a certificate of estimated property tax revenue and or a certificate of estimated property tax millage.
Motion to ask for the paperwork.
From the county auditor's
County
office.
auditor.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. It also has to have the revised code and letter, the section which I said, and I will write that in here. Revised code includes sections 133.18 and 5705.195. If the levy, do you want it as a renewal or replacement or additional millage?
Just renewal, I think.
Renewal.
That way it won't raise your taxes.
Agreed.
For both? Because we'll have to pass, which is this one for, is this one for the,
Road
this
maintenance.
resolution is for the road maintenance?
Resolution for the cemetery.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It's a renewal for replacement, raises your taxes. I about got shot over that one time.
At some point in time, you do have to do a replacement, because at some point in time, the amount that you're getting from it and what everything is valued at is very wonky. So at some point in time, you do have to do a renewal.
I hope I ain't in here.
New replacement edition.
It really makes people mad when you do that replacement, I'm telling you.
So we have the code and the revised code, we have it as a renewal, the tax year, and calendar year levy is to begin collection.
That would be 23, wouldn't it?
Yes, it says the tax year will be 22 for collection in 23. So that's how that will read. And it will be on the primary election. And that date is May the 3rd is when the primary election is.
The reason we're putting these on now is if they fail the primary, we got another shot at it in November. And if they pass in May, we don't have to worry about it in November.
Yes, so after we receive the certificate back, then it must be accepted in a public meeting. And then once we have that information, it will go to the voters bureau, so.
So, when do you think we need to have the other meeting?
You have to wait till they notify us.
Well, it shouldn't take very long, because I will write all this up and I will take it over to the office either tomorrow or Thursday.
We just have to have a special meeting to discuss that.
And the special meeting will just be for the placement of these
Right.
particular items. We will not discuss anything else at any of the meeting, at that particular meeting, unless it so says in the information that's put when it goes into the newspaper. Thank you, gentlemen.
So,
And we don't have to address the fire levy for another year, is that correct?
The fire, sorry, the fire levy is, continuing to 2023, continuing through 2024. So, yes, it will not be, we will have to do it until,
2024.
yeah, well, it'll go in
2023.
2023 is when it will go on the ballot.
Okay.
That's when we need it to go on the ballot.
So should we look at the date or? I didn't bring the calendar over here. But I will. We had a shot.
And blow up, I think. It's very,
All the information should be back, we should have everything back the week of the 10th. Because as I said, Jill, the week of the 10th,
Alright, week of the 10th.
so you don't pick a date.
Midweek, 12th.
Don't matter to me, I'm retired. We good on the 17th? 18th, okay. When will you be available?
Well,
I just make it on the 17th.
Daytime or evening?
evening.
I can't do daytime.
Now you're back to work. 7 o'clock, 17th. Special meeting on, levies.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Federal holiday.
That's right.
Huh?
That's a federal holiday.
Can't do that.
17th?
Yes,
Yeah.
Martin Luther King Day.
That's Martin Luther King Day.
We can't do it then. Let's go to the 18th. 18th's all right, Willie?
Can we put a time on that?
7 o'clock.
I thought it was
7 o'clock, fine?
just to be certain,
Are you gonna put an announcement in the paper for that meeting?
Yes.
of course.
I didn't see one for this meeting, is why I was asking.
It was submitted to the newspaper.
Alright,
I have trouble, cause that's where we have to go to put the information in. I have to send it to Athens, info@Athens Messenger. And I'll just be honest with you, sometimes it makes it in and sometimes it doesn't. And I do my best to make sure that it's in plenty of time.
At least you made the effort.
Road closure made it in there, but it didn't make it in there. I don't know why, if you sent them at the same time, didn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah, road closure made it in,
Yeah, I saw that.
we'll be done with it tomorrow.
yeah, no, I sent it, I attached all of it and sent it at the same time.
I thought you did. So what else did you do on this?
That's all that I have for, that's all that I have for the correspondence
Okay.
that,
Old business?
Mr., sorry, old business, I'm gonna address kind of this one and then Ransom can go beyond mine. Mr. McBride in the last meeting had talked about the credit card being in the, should be in the township's name only. The credit card is in my name plus the township's name. It says my name and Carthage Township. When this credit card was received, when we purchased it, Hawking Valley Bank doesn't do township credit cards anymore. They didn't do credit cards. You had to go through a company, someone else to get your credit card through. When we did this, US Bank had the best rate for us. We were able to pay it off at any time. When we made the purchases, they deal a lot with county and state organizations, but they had to have my personal information. At the time that the credit card was done, I came before the trustees and asked if they wanted me to submit their personal information so they could have their own card, and they informed me no, that they did not want to do that. So that is why the card has my name on it. It is for the township only, but it is in my name as well as Carthage Township, so. And did you tell me that you had talked to Kurt about that particular thing?
He said it's fine.
So,
Yeah, when we had set it up, we had talked to Zach, and he advised us that was just how it's done, so.
It just seemed like a huge liability for you as an individual to accept that responsibility.
but
That was a
unfortunately,
concern.
there's no, you can't, there's no other way around it. I'm sorry. So what it is, it's my personal information. It does not come, the bill does not come to my house, it comes directly to the township garage. So, but at the time, we were told that everything was on the up and up and we were okay to do that. So, that's all I had, gentlemen, I just wanted to address that one.
Any other old business?
Do you have any follow-up on the people wanting to buy the old building?
No, Kurt's trying to get me an answer on whether we can sell it or not because that tank's in there.
What old building is it, Phil, what's that?
The old township building over at Lockridge.
The little schoolhouse, the old schoolhouse?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's getting in bad shape, needs painted.
Oh, yeah. I used to drive by it every day until 586 days ago.
Well, if they were to auction that, that would give them some money to put towards Young Road, potentially.
You already mentioned about foregoing on this brush truck was mentioned here. We'll get into a different subject in new business.
What's the update on the park truck? Is there an update on the park truck?
They're having new air tanks custom made for it since replacement ones are not available. They're having a fab shop make some up over in Parkersburg. Guy said hope to have it done by this Friday. Did not know for sure. They're working diligently to get it done because they know we need it. So that's where we're at. They were not available through Pierce. Pierce goes back to 90. If you give them the job number, they will either have parts available or make parts and sell you. And being that's an 87 just couldn't go back, so they did try, so. They're done, it should be right, so it's just a matter of getting it done.
New business?
Well, I'll go ahead and comment on the cancellation of this, I'll call it the Iowa truck, since that's where it was located. We have since come and, or found a different vehicle, which is much closer to Marietta, which I think will work very well for us. A lot less money for the truck itself. Bob and I both went and looked at it, we drove it. It's an ex-oil gas field tender vehicle. A little background on it, it originally came out of Texas, so we came dry climate up to here. I can't tell you the name of it, but it was a pipeline construction company, came out of Texas, moved to Ohio, brought their fleet with them. When the job was finished, they dispersed all the equipment, they moved back to Texas. And the company in Marietta, which goes by the name of Stonebridge Corporation, bought, I think the man told us 17 of those vehicles. And this is one of them. It's a 2011 F-350. It's got a brand new engine in it. The truck itself has got 94,000 and you might as well say 100,000 miles on the chassis. But the engine itself was put in this spring, very few miles. It has Ford's total warranty on it.
It's not an off-brand motor, it's a regular Ford motor.
It's the Ford
That's a Ford.
6.7. It's the latest one that the diesels that they've come out with. So all the updates put on it, all the new stuff. It wasn't just they took components off the old truck and put on this one. The engine's new. Fan to bell housing.
We replaced all the sensors, all that stuff, and we put the new motor in, put new sensors and all that stuff in.
The frame, underneath, when they had to work on these newer diesels, if probably everyone is familiar with it, but I'll say it anyway, the cabs always have to come off so you can get to the engines. And then they had the cab off, and while the cab was off, they painted the frame, they painted the bed. It's pretty good. I mean, it's more than pretty good. It's almost spotless underneath as far as corrosion and rust goes. It's a flatbed, dual wheel, automatic transmission. What else? Got a huge brush guard bumper on the front, wrap around, which is by definition a brush truck. This is what we're buying it for. It's going to be, when it comes into service, it's going to be expected to do the brush. So it needs some protection, and that should afford a lot of protection on the front end. We've got to buy a skid unit pump for the back of it in order to make it usable. But this vehicle, they started out at a $36,000 asking price. And we bargained a bit with them, and the gentleman said he'd sell it to the fire department for 28. So 28 plus another 15 perhaps to put it into a working unit. Any questions about it?
15 for what?
Skid unit. The whole deal to make it into a working unit.
Okay. I missed that.
Sounds like a better deal than Iowa.
Excuse me.
Sounds like a better deal than the one in Iowa.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it was-
definitely.
The distance thing is, I mean, this truck's from Marietta. You could touch it, you could feel it, you could smell it, you know. So, and in my opinion, and I think Bob's opinion, the same. We both saw the same vehicle, we rode in it. It's been well kept. The interior is clean. The upholstery, of course, it's all vinyl, but it's in good shape. It's not beat up, tore up like you'd think a work truck would be. I think it'll work very well for us.
Sounds safer.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
I said that sounds like the safer option.
Thank you.
Let me ask, you said 28,000 for the vehicle
Yes.
and 15,000 to use it, to make it usable, is that what you said?
That 15, yeah, that's an estimate.
And what would that be, what was the 15,000? What is the 15,000 for?
For,
Yeah.
it's for a water tank, a
Oh.
pump, hose, nozzle, lights, siren, to turn it into a fire vehicle. It's white right now, most people recognize fire vehicles as being red. But maybe sometime in the future, we'll put some red paint on it. Red paint won't make it work any better.
I understand, thank you.
What did some of the farmers?
Yeah, I put the information out on our, what do I call it? Yeah, messenger, exactly. And, Chris commented, Jerry gave me a phone call. The other guys commented, they're all on board with it. They think it'd be a good deal.
We even talked to the mechanic that worked on it. So,
Tires, they are in fair shape right now. They are not the best in the world, they're not the worst in the world either, so sometime in the next 6 months, 10 months, a year perhaps, new rubber will have to be put on.
All these costs would come out of the fire department money,
Exactly.
yes.
not the town.
No,
No.
comes from the fire levy.
I'd like to put them on. I know, just you can,
Yeah, I was wondering
Oh, I
where
know,
the
just-
fund balance
sorry,
sheet
gentlemen.
might be.
it's completely my fault. No one else to blame but myself.
I forgot to mention this, a four-wheel drive vehicle as well. That's one of the big pluses, because inclement weather, ice, snow, all the time, we need to get.
Yeah.
Get up the hill and you're on the road.
34, 35.
Yeah,
$40,000.
yeah. We hear you, I hear you.
Oh, yeah.
I know you don't believe I hear you, but I
Well,
hear
you
you.
didn't last year, because I asked you about it, you wouldn't want to hear it.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you with the phone around.
That's what I meant. You say you hear me now, but I'm just saying this last year you did.
Oh, yes, I did.
So,
Where was it? Four-wheel drive vehicle, it's a crew cab as well, I didn't put that in there. So, a fire vehicle of any sort, there's not much use if you can't get your manpower to where you're going.
There's approximately $40,000 in the fire levy right now. Not all of that will be taken out to pay for this out of pocket, I'm assuming.
Yes,
correct?
yes.
So,
Another plus side of this is we don't have to borrow any funds if we use these funds. So there'll be no payments, there'll be no interest, there'll be no extra hidden costs.
well, my question is, I thought we had more money than that in here.
Nope. What's in the levy?
So if we take $28,000 out of buy a truck, you're gonna have $12,000 to run on the other. And you don't know how much it's gonna cost to fix the pump.
Sounds like you're a few dollars short.
Pardon?
I said it sounds like you're a few dollars short.
Yeah. I thought we had around 50,000 in there.
11-1, there was 54 in there.
Yeah, but there's been a lot of,
Yeah.
you guys have had a lot that's come out in the last month and a half.
Yeah. Well, I know you already talked about financing and things of that nature. We could always finance part of it. Half of it or something, and not cut ourselves short and pay it off in 2 or 3 years. That's always an option. Finance 20 of it, and you still have enough money to get things set up on.
We can't. Ohio Revised Code says we can't. If we buy it off another township, we don't have to finance it, which we can, and we can finance it. We bind off an individual, like this company, we can't. Did you have a paper?
Yeah, I got here. It does put as another agency, but it really doesn't say in there that you can't get it from an individual. I didn't see it. I think it's on the second set of pages.
What about the CARES Act? Can that go towards some of the fire stuff, or?
For what?
The ARPA money.
The guidelines to spending that money really is so vague.
Right.
I shy away from it unless I can see in black and white that it says, yeah, you can spend it for whatever. For the simple reason that if some auditing outfit, individual, wouldn't have to be an auditor, comes along 2 or 3 years later and says, you guys misspent these COVID funds, now you gotta pay them back. So, and I think they said there was something about, public safety and the COVID, guidelines. Have you seen anything like it, Jerry?
Yes, there's been COVID money spent on fire apparatus.
With no repercussions.
Not yet.
That's the yet thing that bothers me.
I thought you got money to pay it back,
Right. That'd be like borrowing money and
no interest or anything like that.
Well, yeah, that's one way of looking at it.
Wasn't there a grant he was looking at for an ATV? Can't you use that?
That's a different.
Is it?
Different grant.
Deal.
Gotcha.
I'm thinking we was
Forestry grant.
ODNR, Ohio Department of Natural Resources.
Got you.
and it could not probably, first of all, to get that grant you're talking about, it's not gonna be approved until mid-January, and you can't spend the money until after it's been approved. So if they wanna buy a truck and it's available today, it might not be available
Yeah.
end of January, so it couldn't be used for that, buying the truck.
I asked Kurt about financing used equipment, and his just short answer was, it's okay. He didn't go into detail about, and that was prior to what Bob's finding here in these comments from the revised code. For buying from another government entity.
The only thing I could do would be to send a message, cannot think of the organization, that we purchased the township truck through, the F-550. When we purchased it, I cannot think, Dennis is the gentleman's name, but I can't remember what his last name is, nor the company. But I can pull the paperwork and send information, I could send him an email tomorrow and ask him, because he deals with townships, and that's what that's all they, well, that's not all they do, but that's what they do, and that's how come the interest rate is very little on those, because it's a bond.
The same process we followed for the 550. If we borrow funds for this truck, we'd have to follow the same procedure.
Okay. Well, that's what I was asking, I didn't know if that was something you wanted me to do, to send him a message and ask
Well,
him.
When we did it the last time, the people at the bank arranged that, if I remember right.
Yeah, Sweeney.
Sweeney
Yeah.
arranged all that with, and they sent the paperwork down, and we
Yeah.
met him at
Yeah.
Coolville.
Greg Sweeney took care of all that up there.
How much did you say a brand new one would cost?
A brand new one,
About
Yeah.
72,000 or something like that.
you can find all kinds of ranges, depends on how you equip them.
Yeah.
But, yeah, 70,000
Yeah.
and up, 70,000 would be a low ballpark figure. And the bigger the truck, the more the cost.
And I can't find what I was reading. We can try.
You got a lot, man.
I know it.
Like 4 months.
Yeah,
Don't break anything, don't spend anything.
that's kept us pretty tight. So what you guys' thoughts on trying to finance or
Yeah.
spend it, you know, what's,
I know anything over 50,000, we gotta put it out for bid.
right,
Mm-hmm.
it used to be 25 and they raised it to 50.
That's all I can read out here.
Well, let me ask you this, if we try to finance it and it falls through, then what are you gonna do? Then what could you do? Then what would you wanna do?
My old truck ain't gonna sit there forever, so.
No, you wanna tap into that ARPA money? I mean, it's there,
If they give, do you have a figure for that?
Then we have $68,000,
Coming.
I mean $80,000.
yeah, cause they give you the first half and they said how you spend the first half is either whether or not you get any second half or you get it all or a portion or none. And I'm guessing I've heard a lot of people talk about spending money on a lot of things that it wasn't laid out there, but then again, the guidelines are awful vague, so,
Township.
you know.
That's why they recommended that everyone apply for it and get the money. And then if you spend it, fine, and if you don't, then, you know, it's gonna be like the COVID money. It'll go back to the state, or it'll go back to the county, and then they'll redistribute it.
And they also figured the guidelines would be loosened some,
But they were very
especially,
specific, I mean, the
Oh, yeah.
COVID money, they got right down to brass tacks and said, okay, this is what
yeah,
it can be spent on, this is what it can't be spent on, so. The art money is still, it's too big.
oh yeah, it's very vague, so,
I do know you can't take that, you've got January, February, March, April,
Yeah, 4 months.
May, almost.
Mhm.
Sometimes it don't come to May, so you got almost 6 months there.
this past year it didn't come till late,
You could only
so.
spend $2,000 a month.
What is this truck for? Just out of curiosity.
Brush truck. There's a brush fire.
Brush fires, inaccessible fires, inaccessible from the road.
Gotcha. So if you have to leave the hard pack, you need that truck.
It would be very beneficial.
The one we have now is a 2-wheel drive and you can't get off the road with it.
Yeah. Well, my thinking was, I'm not a firefighter, but you're not going to have a lot of brush fires this time of year. So wouldn't it be better to put some money aside and buy it later towards the spring instead of having to have this particular truck right now? I mean, I know it's a good deal according to what you guys have said, but how important is it right now to have that truck? Because you're not even going to be able to use it for what you want until you come up with more money to equip it. It's going to be sitting out here in the yard for months.
What do you guys think?
I would suggest you research and see if there's financing available. If,
We can get
I know
financing
there's
on the truck,
financing
we know we
available.
can get that.
well, what's the problem? You said you couldn't, you didn't think you could finance it.
Well, I think we can, because I think I read this wrong.
You know, I would think, now, is it the fire department that would do the financing, or would the township do the financing?
Township, everything here through the fire department goes through the township.
Oh.
And you'd pay the monthly bill with fire money?
Pardon?
You'd pay the monthly bill with fire money, is what you're saying?
It's
For
usually
financing it?
It's usually a year, I'm sorry.
Gotcha.
Well, I would be sure you can't finance.
The payments are usually not a month, they're usually a year. That's how
Because of your organization. or
yeah,
the-
they set it
Yeah.
up and it's you have a year payment. Like the last payment for the white truck will be in January.
So you got a balloon payment, is what you have. So why don't you see if you can finance it, and then when you get, your funding is in better shape, pay more than what is necessary.
Well,
Finance it so you can get it, you know?
that's what I was thinking.
That 70,000 for a new one you were talking about, is that for a fully loaded one that you can put to work tomorrow if you got
No.
it? Or is that just
That's it,
for the
the truck.
vehicle itself?
The vehicle,
Oh.
yeah.
Alright.
So you can't buy anyone for 70,000.
If I could interject, a fully equipped log and brush unit of that magnitude, just in a newer model, would probably be in the ballpark of $120,000, $130,000.
Exactly.
Well, it sounds like you have to do everything you can to find out how to pay for it.
Let's just make a motion to purchase the truck if we can get the financing.
I've already got the financing lined up.
There you go.
On this truck,
Well, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't carry over from this Iowa truck.
if we got,
I had it all lined up for that.
It'd be the same thing, that was a used truck, it was a used
every
truck.
time we change the line,
You gonna finance it all or partial?
well, I'd finance it all. That's my opinion.
I would finance it all and then buy the stuff to equip it and get ready to roll out of the levy.
Let's get the motion, get the ducks in a row here. We had two options, I keep referring to the Iowa truck, we had two options. It was a 6-year loan or a 12-year loan. And it's just almost half. The 6-year loan would be $12,000 a year, but you're talking $61,000 balance. On the 12-year, it was half that, it was a $6,000 yearly payment. My thought was finance whatever we're gonna finance on the longer period, and then if the funds grow and there's no repayment penalty, pay it off early and it's done with.
There is no,
I agree with that.
when the township gets a loan through the bank, it's just like on 550, or when we finance the building over there is no early payoff penalty. You can finance it and 8 months later pay it off in full.
Excuse me?
And I know when I spoke to Craig Sweeney, when we were arranging stuff, he said just, they work with us, they don't care, they don't make much money off us, very, very little, and it's just a courtesy to extend financing and things of that nature, so.
Why don't you work on that? 'Cause I'll need to know in the next couple of days, so I can call them.
Then you've made the motion to purchase this truck through the financing arrangement.
Yes.
Put that in the form of a motion.
So moved. To purchase this 2011 truck, if we can secure financing, finance the full price of it, $28,000, and try to do for the 10 or 12 year, whatever the extended loan is, and go from there.
The interest rate for us was 1.85 or some such.
That's
Yeah, I
what-
was gonna
that's
say,
less
the
than
one for
two.
the truck was like 1.5.
The building's like a 1.6 or something, it's
Get a
just,
real low rate from township.
oh yeah, they do, it's practically non-existent, they don't make no money off it, so it's do it to help us, that's basically it.
Did you second that?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
You wanna work on that?
I will,
I got my hand full of this other stuff.
I'll work on it. It calls in tomorrow.
Any other new business? We need to discuss what we're gonna do with the red truck. The transmission housing busted again.
On the ton truck?
And the damn transmission is 6 months out of warranty.
Missed by warranty by 6 months. I called the people today. It's a 3-year, 100,000 mile warranty, and the 100,000 mile don't enter into it at all after you pass the 3-year mark. So, then we are 6 months out. And that transmission was 4,000 plus.
Yeah, that was that better one. The nearest place was, what we say, Lancaster? That we talked about it, something like that, somewhere in there.
The office I talked to today was, I think in Michigan. So,
So we're down to one truck
the
now
big,
for
the big
550 in the
question,
garage.
the big question is that truck worth another that was $4,000 3 years ago. We all know how things have inflated. I don't know if you can get one for 6 now. I didn't ask. Is it worth another $5 grand?
I personally wouldn't put another $5,000 in that truck. It's been a good one, it served the people well, but it's pretty much about the end of its life for us, for what we do here.
But we gotta look at another situation too, that we need that truck.
We need that truck, and where else could you get one like that for $5,000?
We don't know where we're gonna get that 550 back.
What happened to it?
Bunch of the pollution stuff
The
went bad
sensors,
on
the pollution, the EGR
it.
cooler.
But it's under warranty.
Yeah, all right, that's a silver lining, it's under warranty, but they can't get the parts and the pieces, so.
We're gonna have to move
All
one
these
way or another.
all these transmission shops I talked to around here, when that transmission first went out of that truck here a few years back, that old boy over on 681, I can't remember his name, I could find it in the phone book. He was the only one where it was leaking, now and it leaked, now and it wouldn't.
Yeah.
He was the only one diagnosed it, knew exactly what it was doing. So he impressed me by being honest and fairly smart.
Edwardsville Road.
Why could we not see if we could get another case? He might even have a case over there laying. We might be able to get one from a junkyard and say that, like a core, they know it's bad, pull all the guts out of this one, stick in another case and stick it in there.
Where are you at on 681?
Edwardsville, it's up over, closer to Athens, 681 that way, almost all.
Oh, yeah, almost all the way there.
Deeds?
Dean's, I think. He was pretty sharp, because you'd shut off now and then, it'd leak, now and then it wouldn't leak, and he diagnosed everything, that's exactly what it was doing. The bushing for the torque converter was actually spinning in the case, and wherever it happened to shut off at, spinning in or out, it'd leak, you'd come in, there'd be a big puddle, or there wouldn't be nothing, wouldn't even be a drop under that truck. And nobody else, you'd tell them the issue, they couldn't even, they had no idea, and that old boy knew exactly what it was as soon as I told him. So, you know, I don't know if he's crook or not, but at least he was sharp on that, nobody else could tell that, so.
Well, we either gotta get it fixed.
But could we not call him and see if he might happen to have a case laying around over there? I mean, cause all we need is a good case, right? Transmission case, pop all the guts out and stick it in another, one, a few new seals, maybe be ready to roll.
There might even be a guy local that would do that too, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I do know of a, I can ask.
Something like that
Or
might
you
be
gonna
able,
call that guy out there on,
something like that, we might be able to get done fairly reasonable. I mean, you know, $1,500, $1,800 maybe, I don't know. Something like that,
now we'll
as
check
opposed
around.
to 4,500 or $5,000.
I just want a motion on the board, on the books, that we're either gonna fix it or we ain't gonna fix it.
Well, we have $98,000 in the gasoline tax fund, which is what payroll was paid out of. But we can use the money that's in there on the upkeep of the equipment as well.
Right,
That was one of the things that it can be used for.
well,
Because the $20,000 is in Burton Bridge has to.
I'd hate to throw another 5 in that thing, but we're kinda over barrel at the moment.
Yeah, I would like to make a motion that we explore the possibilities and set a $5,000 maximum on it for the repair.
Well, what if we go over 5,000, we're gonna be stuck with one truck again.
That's true.
I'm just saying, snow's coming, boys, but
Oh,
this
yeah.
weather ain't gonna last forever. And like I say, we don't know when we're gonna get that 550 back, but we can't grade all the snow with that one truck.
Well, then I will recall my motion and amend it to say that we explore the possibilities of repairing the transmission in the 2000 F-350.
Second.
I'll second that.
All in favor, aye? Like I say, them big trucks ain't no good on our roads. You can't do nothing with them.
Get them hung up every time you turn around.
No, it's awful. Hopefully we get the 550 back. All the parts are in except the cooler.
Mm.
It's crazy, these parts are crazy.
That truck's been kind of a disappointment. I mean, for all purposes, you know, we give $71,000 for that thing. It's not had any major mechanical issues, but it's all this,
Well, it's our fault.
it's all this other junk attached to it. It's all the, you know, the
The sensors and the emission
environmental
control.
stuff, and then they've made so much fancy stuff on them for what we do. It's just, and they're all that way. It's not just any one particular brand. It's just they're all that way.
What we're gonna have to do when we get it back, this is what we gotta have to do.
Mm-hmm.
We either gotta have it deleted, and if we delete it, the warranty ain't gonna be good.
Right. The warranties.
Good for 100,000.
Yeah.
Rewire the emergency light, so we can shut it off when out on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, the way it's wired, you can't, you've gotta have it running to run the emergency,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what's making this problem.
That's what's plugging up your DEF too.
Yes.
Cause it sets miles too long.
Yeah, and some days it idles all day long because you got a crew out here working, one truck down here, one down here, and
Well, we get it back. We're gonna have to look at some options and pursue some options.
I don't think it'll be too hard to rewire those lights. We'll just have to check it out, but
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're gonna have to do.
If you delete it, then you won't never be able to trade it into a dealer.
Pardon?
If you delete it, you can't trade it into a dealer.
Right.
We can rewire them lights. That's not that big of a deal. Hate to void that warranty on all that junk.
That's the deal on it right there, right?
Mm.
That's what everybody's telling me, where I don't know too much.
I can believe it.
Any other new business?
Yeah, I got some donations for use of the building, $75, 3 different occasions. There's 50 in cash and a $25 check.
Oh, one other thing. We laid Keith off a while back. So Eric got back. Eric's back.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been using the heck out of him out here on the road. I think we ought to just keep him on the rest of the year. It's gonna be April when he starts anyway, so. And we have the money to do it with. And the third guy out there on the road is a blessing.
Well, we can get all 3 trucks running. We got snow. There's 3 guys to plow snow.
Yeah,
What you guys opinion?
I agree.
I agree also.
Motion? Keep him on?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Matter of fact, you use 5 guys out there on the road sometimes, there's traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? If not, motion to close the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. We got one to organization.
Close this meeting.
We gotta get swear, she gotta swear us in for,
Just on video.
Well,